Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, I'm Sarah Hughes with the Customer Experience and Channel Engagement team. And this morning, first of all, welcome to this month's Kandy Technical Fireside Chat. I have the distinct pleasure to introduce the Skyvera executive team who recently purchased Kandy to our customer and partner community. A little housekeeping here. We are recording this and your audio lines are muted, but you can post questions as we normally do in the chat, and I'm going to moderate those to our speakers today. This session, as I mentioned, is being recorded and it will be available for replay to share with your staff as needed, and we'll email the replay information to everyone later today. This will also be added to the Kandy Partner Portal under past webinars for you to be able to find in the future. So this morning I have Jeff Moyer, the CEO of Skyvera, Todd Ramsey, the Chief Revenue Officer also of Skyvera, and Arthur Michael, Chief Operations Officer also of Skyvera. So today they're going to provide an overview of Skyvera, give you some answers to some frequently asked questions, including opening up the floor to be able to answer questions from the audience today. So let's kick it off. So I'll hand it over to Jeff.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thanks to everybody for taking the time out of your busy schedules and busy days today to attend this webinar. As she mentioned, this is really meant to be an introduction to who Skyvera is and give an opportunity to get to know us a little bit, answer some questions, and then as we advance the relationships, we'll have more focused conversations individually with folks. So really, the Skyvera team wants to welcome you over as customers. We think Kandy has an incredible portfolio that we want to continue advance and develop with. And we're really looking forward to working with each and every one of you as we integrate Kandy into the greater Skyvera ecosystem. So some of you, I'm sure, have done some research on who Skyvera is. And it's really starts with the telco DR story. So the founder, Danielle Royston, she's been in the telco space for quite a few years now and is really an evangelist around the public cloud journey of telcos going to the public cloud. Not only as a cost-saving measure, but really to start to think about it as a competitive advantage, the ability to do things in a cloud-native form that drives business value for our customers. She's got a long history of turnaround expertise. I believe with the Kandy acquisition, that makes about 25 for her in her career over the last couple dozen years that she's been doing this. And this is a little bit of her bio, being the CEO at Optiva, formerly Redknee out of Canada, which was a huge turnaround story for her. And really her mission now is helping software companies maintain software status and move into public cloud domain. So she's raised $1 billion fund that's used for a variety of activities, of which is acquisitions of companies that make sense for Skyvera to be the operating company beside telco, to then transform customers over time. And when I talk about this transformation journey, this is not something that happens in a week. This is something that happens over years, and for some clients, it may never happen. There may be regulatory restrictions, there may be requirements of the business that the move to public cloud just does not happen for them for whatever reason. There's not an ROI behind it. So I don't want you thinking this is an imperative that you must do this, but it is we do strongly believe that over time, this is where a lot of companies will go to drive business value and business differentiation. The transformation fund is, as I mentioned, it's the $1 billion that Danielle has raised to transform in the telco industry. So it's used to fund startups. She has a startup that she's funded through this called Totogi. And right now it's an online charging platform that's in the AWS public cloud. It's using AWS native code to develop and start that product. There's also the acquisition side of things. It's how we've gotten Kandy and most recently. So we acquire companies that make sense in our strategic journey to help clean those companies up and then start a transformation where we can move the code into the public cloud. And then we also build innovative solutions on some previously existing companies that we've purchased. SMS messaging is one of the big ones that we have from a previous acquisition that we're starting to write code for to move it into the public cloud. About Skyvera, we are affiliated with Telco DR. We're not owned by them, but we're affiliated by them, and our mission is to acquire companies on the public cloud journey. You can see these are the acquisitions that we've performed over the last several years, with Kandy being number 9, and then a company we just closed about a week ago in India, a carve out of Sterilite Technologies called STL Telecom Software Products. So we're up to 10 companies we've acquired in the recent history. So a little bit about the leadership team, starting with myself as the CEO. I've got over 35 years of enterprise IT experience. A chunk of that is in the telecom space with the enterprise side. Worked with AT&T, British Telecom, Vodafone, among others. These are the large tier 1s, and there's been several tier 2s and tier 3s as well. I've been global vice president and general manager at DXC, where I had responsibility for private cloud and their legacy infrastructure services that they delivered out to clients. And then I was over at Rackspace as the global senior vice president and GM of public and private cloud solutions. And then most recently, I was the CEO of Luminoso Technologies, where we did natural language understanding for a variety of use cases. A lot of it was in the HR space, but we've also done things with manufacturing, done things with advertising as well. I live in San Antonio, Texas, along with my wife, and like to scuba dive, play golf, and do a lot of traveling in the spare time that we have. So look me up on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you as we go down this journey, and we'll see how do that. Todd, I'll let you go next.
Absolutely. So it's a pleasure to meet you all virtually. I look forward to the opportunity to be able to meet you physically as well. My name is Todd Ramsey. I'm the individual responsible for sales within the Skyvera umbrella, a group of companies. And so as everything moves over, as Kandy is doing right now, I'm working closely with Sarah and the customer success team, as well as your sales representatives, to ensure that we have the right direction moving forward, and that there's a continuity plan in place to continue to do the great work that the Kandy team has already put in place. I have just over 30 years of experience, which is probably far too many. I think I started probably when I was really young, in software and in telecommunications. I've worked with most of the telecommunications companies in Canada. I am Canadian. Most of the time, however, I either am located here in Canada or from whichever airport is closest to you, our customers. And so I do spend a fair bit of time on the road traveling and seeing folks. I do live north of Toronto, about 2.5 hours north of Toronto. For those of you that know the map, there's some blue lakes way up north, and that's where I live in northern Ontario. Married, four kids, and we tend to travel and enjoy life at this point in our life, anyways. Spending time together doing all sorts of other things. Do connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And as I said, I do look forward to working with you and continuing the journey. So Artie, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Yeah, Artie Michelle, great to be here. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Skyvera. What that means is I'm responsible for financial operations, but also services, encompassing support, managed services and delivery, and also the HR function here. My background is enterprise software sales, but also consulting and finance. I've run services organizations, but also on the banking side at JP Morgan. I do have a technical background. I live in New York City and Brooklyn with my wife and 3 young kids. I try to stay active when I can. Recently gotten into boxing, which keeps me busy. And yeah, very much looking forward to getting to know all of you. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn or offline. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys. I will say from Todd, if you sign the right deal, he may just send you some maple syrup if it's legal. But
That's true.
this is
I have been known to do that.
So this is the leadership team over from Skyvera. We've taken as much as we can the Kandy team from an org structure and slid it into the Skyvera organization. So you should still continue to be able to talk to most, if not all, the same people you're used to communicating with today as we go forward into the future. About our strategy, we talked a little bit about it at the top. I mean, we're in the business of buying telco software companies and then working to pivot those products to public cloud. That's our grand vision. That's our grand strategy. That doesn't mean we stop developing, that we stop supporting that software on a private cloud model as we move it to public cloud, because we know there are going to be clients who fit in both. But if we have our desires, if we have our goals, it's really moving things into the public cloud. And some of the things we look at when we go to buy a company, because I know this has been a question in previous acquisitions from folks, we want to sell to telcos. We don't want to sell to the end customers. We want to have folks who buy the software, use the software, but they're the ones talking to the end clients. Not us. We typically focus on BSS and OSS. So the Kandy portfolio is not quite down the center of the fairway for us. It's a little bit off to the sides, but we felt that there's enough synergies around things going on in the CPaaS space that made it very attractive for us to want to engage here. And the UCaaS model is really something that we want to continue with because it's pretty solid, it's pretty forward thinking. So we want to continue doing that. And we're typically looking for divestitures, full acquisitions of companies, carve outs, bankruptcies. We do on occasion. Unfortunately, fortunately, the last 2 were one of each, but typically we're trying to do a divestiture or full acquisition of a company. Some of our philosophy, which is different than a lot of companies you may run into, is we focus on customer success more than customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is important to us, but customer success is what we measure every month. And we talk about customer success, it's really, are you as customers, are the customers getting value out of what they're buying from Skyvera? Are they using it in their business to create loyalty, to develop new products, to create differentiation? Whatever success in the marketplace is for that customer, are they seeing that from Skyvera? Customer satisfaction is kind of table stakes. Are we picking up the phone when we're supposed to? Are we responding to trouble tickets? Are you happy with that support, the way that works? And we draw the focus on success because in our experiences, in our history, there's a lot of companies that sell software and it's got a need, it's got an issue that they're trying to address at the customer side, but then it becomes shelfware. It really doesn't get integrated into the business. It really doesn't get the fullest potential in its use cases. So that's why we focus on customer success. And we'll be getting out to all the clients and having discussions around how we are doing with customer success, things we're doing well, things we're not doing well and can improve upon. Our goal is to have everybody 100% on the customer success side of things. And it's a very simple metric for us. We don't create a lot of noise in the calculation. We don't really create a lot of ambiguity. It's a binary question. are you meeting your success goals with our product? Yes or no? And based on that, that determines whether we're hitting our success metric or not. And where it's no, we'll put plans in place that we agree to jointly on how to get to 100% if it's possible. So with that, we're about 15 minutes or so, a little over 15 minutes into the presentation. I wanted to open it up and save time for questions from folks on the phone.
You want to go to the next slide where we have the FAQs that will answer some of those? Yeah.
Yeah, so these are some FAQs that were put together and posted. I'm not going to read the slide to you. You guys could take a look at that. And if there's any other additional questions off of this, be happy to answer those.
We did have one question from the field about the roadmap for Kandy from Astro. And the question is, do you plan on continuing to develop the Microsoft Teams integration?
Yeah, as far as roadmaps go, we're in, I think, day 6 of operationally owning the company. So we haven't dug into all the details of current roadmaps, adjustment changes we need to make. We're still pulling things in to get the behind the scenes back office integration work done. We're not changing anything as right today going forward on how we operate the company. But as we get more involved and more integrated, we'll be coming out with refreshed roadmaps. There's no judgments right now on keeping it or not keeping it. Our intention is to continue to drive the portfolio forward. We didn't buy the company with the intention of taking it and tearing it apart and blowing everything up. So we want to continue to create and retain that value. But as we develop those roadmaps in the coming weeks, and it's not going to be months, it's going to be weeks, we'll definitely be getting out and communicating with everybody on what those directions are.
Thank you, Jeff. A couple of things of note here. Our customer success email has changed to Skyvera, and it's now Kandy Customer Success at Skyvera.com. And most all of our emails are now first name last name at Skyvera.com. We'll have that transition for a time period, but we ask that you begin using those and whitelist that domain in your IT firewalls and networks there. There's really no change to how you communicate with us as far as support telephones and opening cases and all. And you can continue to use the partner portal for your documentation and training needs and so on. There's another question about, are you still maintaining your relationship with the Ribbon team? And this comes from the NDS team.
Yeah, we don't have any plans at this point to change that relationship. We've been reaching out to the folks, not just Ribbon, but other suppliers, and beginning to establish relationships with them and have discussions with them. But we are not at this point looking at contemplating any changes there. If we were to do that, we'll definitely communicate out to folks who are impacted by that.
Thank you. Another question comes, what are the short-term goals with the KBS platform that you have in maybe the next 90 days?
So on a couple fronts, continue to deliver high service, excellent service to the folks on that platform. We want to continue to make sure that the customers using it today don't experience any outages, don't experience any impacts. We want them to stay focused on that. In the background, behind the scenes, we have what we call central function, central support. They are starting to work with the technical teams on technical breakdowns of the platform, getting to understand how the code's written, getting to understand the technology that's used that we don't already have deep experience in, and learn about the platform itself. That really is the immediate focus of us. Keep the existing clients happy, continue to do things to drive that, but also to look at the code behind the scenes so we have a better understanding on how it's put together. The nature of the way this transaction came down, we didn't get to have a lot of detail behind the scenes. So now we're taking that and looking at it.
Another question, thank you, is about the Kandy name. Will Kandy be the platform name, or will it possibly change?
We'll be doing some rebranding into the Skyvera model. I don't think we've come across whether we're just going to go out and rebrand KBS to SBS. So that Kandy, the KBS platform name will probably be there for a period of time. You'll see other things change as the email accounts have changed, as PowerPoints have changed, things like that before we start digging into rebranding products.
Great.
In our previous acquisitions, I think there's been several that for several years we've kept the previous names. We haven't changed those.
Any other questions? Please post them in the chat there. Don't be shy. This team normally isn't shy, so. I do want to highlight while we're waiting for other questions, you will get an email or your accounts payable team may get an email or will get an email from Skyvera on how to interact with purchase orders and payments. So please let them know to be on the lookout for that. That will be specific to them. And I have had questions about the contracts. So the bankruptcy that ABCT went through was different than how we came off of Ribbon to ABCT, and that had assignments of contracts, whereas these in the bankruptcy, they're assumed by Skyvera. So at present, you won't need to enter into any like new contract negotiations in order to come over to Skyvera. So that is, but they're under review right now. And Todd, do you want to say anything about that?
That's correct, Sarah. What happens in a bankruptcy situation, it's called the rule of law. Basically, what happens is the new owner of the assets automatically takes over those contracts. They don't need to be assigned. There's no approval process there would have been if there had been a transaction that had occurred. It just moves across as an asset. And then as we start looking through the contracts, there may be terms and conditions and things that we'll have conversations around renewals, et cetera. And that's when we'll refine things and bring them more into line from a standardized point of view. Day one, you don't have to worry about that.
Great. Thank you, Todd. Another question from the team here from Van Rand. Does Skyvera have any other managed services platforms?
Artie, you want to? I don't think we do, but Artie, do you want to add some insight into that?
Not sure what that's referring to. Managed services platforms. We do provide managed services for other products. So it's something we're set up to do. And as mentioned, we're trying to minimize any change, any disruption to the existing managed services that you all have, but not sure if that answers the question.
No, we're not a managed services company. We want to be a software company. We want to sell product. We do some managed services for a few clients, but I guess the way to answer that, we don't have a platform. So we're not integrating managed services into any CRM, IMD or DB platform or anything like that with that type of functionality. Now we do have some back office for tickets for customers who call in, say, hey, I've got a problem with your software. I need some support. I need to fix it. But as a managed services player, we don't have and are not interested in building a platform.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Another question revolves around some of the products that were discontinued last year by Kandy, specifically a question about the the call center products that we discontinued. Are there any solutions within the portfolio that would be a possible replacement for those?
No, from a Skyvera perspective, we don't have any call center solutions. That's not really a space that we operate in. There's other folks who are far more advanced, have invested far more time, energy, and money into that. And it's not an area we can go be good at to win.
Another question came in from Pioneer. Are you looking to add SMS, your SMS platform into Kandy?
That has been a question that's been, Sarah and I have had a very brief conversation about the desirability of that. So we don't have any specific plans, but it doesn't mean we wouldn't be wanting to entertain that if there's business value, if it makes sense to do that. Because I think it would be, at least on the surface, we'd have to dig into it. And the surface, there could add some value in having that SMS capability into the Kandy world. So no specific plans yet. Not opposed to looking at it in detail, especially if there's demand and there's business value that we could develop to do that.
And just to reemphasize and build on Jeff's point there, I think part of it too is we do have established products, just like Kandy has established products. It's like looking at two cars in a lot. They both have doors. Do the doors, are they interchangeable? Can we meld them together? We have to figure out how those applications would fit together. Functionality wise, absolutely makes sense. Technically, we'll have to see whether how that actually rolls out.
Good deal. We had another question about they understand that many of the Kandy staff are now contractors, and how are we going to ensure that the team is committed to their jobs?
Well, the conversation
with you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's how we operate, and we've had quite a few conversations. We've brought over a large portion of the Kandy team, and we believe in the individual conversations with folks and their leaders, they are committed, and they're staying. We have the same level of commitment that any employee would have.
I guess just to build on that particular point, it's not a new model for us. We're all contractors. So Jeff is the same as am I, as am Artie, or as is Artie, sorry. And when I look at how long, if you want to talk about kind of extension and durability, I've been working through this model for close to 6 years now. Artie, I think you're probably around the same. And so it's not that it's a lack of commitment. It's just a way of functioning that we operate.
I would reiterate that too, that you probably didn't know this, but several of the Kandy employees previously were contractors, and there was no difference in how we handle our customers and how we're committed to our roles and responsibilities. Another question came up about, will there be a follow-up of this sent out? And yes, we always record these, and we're recording this session. We provide the slides and the recording link as part of that. So that will be sent out later today. Any other questions? I know several people have asked about roadmap, and that, Jeff and the team mentioned at the beginning of this, they're digging into things, and we'll be sharing more about future plans and roadmap items soon. But they just, with the bankruptcy, how quickly it went, it's going to take some time to dig in.
And definitely, as other questions come up, feel free to reach out. We'll be scheduling these types of sessions on a regular basis, and looking forward to being able to go out and meet folks. I think we've already got a couple trips planned. I know, Todd, you've already been meeting some folks, and then we'll be over in Europe here in a few weeks, setting up some meetings with you guys.
Any other questions?
All right. Well, we scheduled an hour, but we definitely don't have to take up an hour. We can give you guys back 29, 28 minutes of your day to go work on other things. I do want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your attentiveness. Thank you for the questions. And we really do and are excited to look forward to working with you and taking on the next chapter in the Kandy/Skyvera story as we move forward.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thank you.